ways. And so he came in, I said, hey, look, we got a crisis. Very few black farmers are existing. Do something about it. He did something about it. It was my legislation.
And my point is, what happened to that legislation?
It got stopped.
That's my point.
Because we have a Supreme Court and that we knew
it got stopped because
of legal challenges.
Resentment.
Yes. Hold up. Wait a minute.
White farmers felt like
no.
Resources were being taken away from them and given to people
because people, not again. When you say white farmers, if I'm a white farmer listening to this in Iowa, I'm thinking to myself, John Stewart's calling me. John Lewis is blaming me for stopping Booker's legislation. That's not true.
Oh wow!
Some people stop that legislation,
right?
And my job, who wants to help black farmers who've been built off of their land, is to go back to work with the Biden administration, write new legislation that could withstand a legal challenge.
All white people are racist.
Guilty as charged.
I believe that white people are born into not being human.
I know, I can't help it.
And that's what y'all are taught to do, to be demons.
You know, Jon Stewart was always kind of seen as like that tolerable guy who was on the left, but not insufferable, not disingenuous, and you could trust him to have like the right take in a lot of times, in a lot of cases. And you know, he's done a lot of great work with the firefighters in New York and things of that nature. I think he's spoken some truths about the coof, but ever since he walked away from the Daily Show, leaving it to a horribly unfunny loser in Trevor Noah, he's desperate for relevance again. And so he's got this Apple Plus show where, I don't know because I don't pay for Apple Plus, but I only ever see clips from it. And the clips of it make Jon Stewart look like an absolute moron. Like he's so desperate to appeal that in just the few years he's left the Daily Show, it's like he's realized that, holy moly, like the Overton window has shifted so far that like I'm no longer a liberal. I have to like reprove myself in that I'm a modern day liberal, which is like what I would call a leftist, because most people that I know, I'm a little bit older now, who call themselves liberals are cool people. They're not lunatics. They're not talking like Jon Stewart saying, you know, anti-white stuff and talking about, you know, J.K. Rowling is a, you know, anti-Semitic and all this insanity. He's getting his talking points from some, you know, brightly colored individual on Twitter nowadays. I don't think he's actually thinking for himself on a lot of these issues. And this week has been a bad week for him, including a clip in which he just embarrasses himself in front of Cory Booker. You see this original tweet from Mythinformed, which is a clip from their show that I actually do want to play, even though it's only a minute long. I want to comment on it because it's ridiculous. Stewart writes, Shant. Looks like he works at Substack or something. Jon Stewart, a celebrity with a net worth over $100 million, lecturing everybody on, quote, white resentment of struggling American farmers. This is wokeness doing the job it was created to do. Now, I want to fill you in here. My brother is a farmer. And, well, he's my brother-in-law, but whatever. I only have one sister. She's married to a farmer. He is the hardest working man I have ever met. Every single day, he's a dairy farmer. Every single day, that dude is up at sun up till sundown, working. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Easter, 4th of July. The dude is working, okay? I don't think that he would appreciate this particular take. I also think that perhaps it may, in fact, I'm only saying possibly, I don't know this for sure. But if you've ever actually met any farmers, I live in Wisconsin, I know a ton of them. I live in the countryside, and most everyone I know knows or is, you know, related to somebody who farms for a living. I grew up, my first job was unloading hay bales from carts at $20 a cart, loading it off the trailers into the barn, getting all cut up because I didn't wear gloves like an idiot. But anyway, I knew a lot of farmers. And what I know now about farmers is that many of them are actually conservative. So I don't know if that factors into what Jon Stewart is trying to lead here. But farming is a thankless job. If you understand, most farmers, not these industrial farms, most farmers will spend their lives under crippling debt. Their only asset remaining maybe the farm equipment that they've taken loans out on or their land. Eventually, farmers work and work and work and work and work. And then when they retire, they sell off their land. And then a bunch of upper middle class white people move in and build suburbs. That's what happens where I live. Farmers retire, sell their land, developers move in and build a bunch of $300,000 houses on their property. I suppose nowadays they're $500,000. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Subdivisions come in. And the farmer is gone. And I don't know a single, and I probably know or have met passively maybe 50 farmers, people who farm, own farms, work on farms, family farms. None of them are rich. Not a single one. But they farm because their daddy farmed and their daddy's daddy farmed. And they grew up farming. That's why they farm. But this is what Jon Stewart has to say.
So he came in.
So he's talking about essentially this bill that Cory Booker had in place to try and get more black farmers. Now, I don't know any black farmers. I suspect there are many more of them than, in my small area where I live. I happen to be, I don't live in an area like where I live. Rural areas are still pretty white. When I lived in Louisville, rural areas were pretty mixed. So I suspect there's probably more farmers in areas where rural areas are more diverse. That's just where I live, in Wisconsin. The people who settled here, I go into Milwaukee, it's pretty diverse. Go into Madison, pretty diverse. Green Bay, pretty diverse. Kenosha, pretty diverse. Racine, pretty diverse. Where I live, it's pretty white. So I acknowledge that.
And so he came in, I said, hey, look, we got a crisis. Very few black farmers are existing. Do something about it. He did something.
Again, here's this. By the way, I'm no fan of Cory Booker. The idea that there aren't many black farmers does not inherently mean there are barriers or there's a problem. Okay? He says there is, but that's neither here nor there.
Something about it. It was my legislation.
And my point is, what happened to that legislation?
It got stopped.
That's my point.
Because we have a Supreme Court, and that we knew
it got stopped because
of legal challenges.
Resentment.
Yes.
What? And by the way, Cory Booker, a black man, literally scoffs it in Jon Stewart's face. Listen to this.
Resentment. White farmers felt like resources were being taken away from them.
Yeah, a lot of white farmers work in the Senate and the Supreme Court, John. A lot of white farmers in government. Listen, I guarantee you Jon Stewart has never... this is a somewhat personal issue for me. Obviously, I live in rural America. Farming is in my family. They don't have time. I guarantee you Jon Stewart has never met a farmer because they're too busy working their fingers to the bone to just get by. These are the farmers that I know. Yes, there is like industrial farming. Like where I live, Cryle Kemp is a huge dairy company, Kemp's. But most farmers, they got a couple hundred head of cattle, maybe 1,000 head of cattle. That's what they do. But Jon Stewart has never met a farmer.
And given to people
because some people, not again. When you say white farmers, if I'm a white farmer listening to this in Iowa, I'm thinking to myself, Jon Stewart's calling me. Jon Stewart is blaming me for stopping Booker's legislation. That's not true.
That's not true. Jon Stewart gets obliterated by Cory Booker, and he's too woke for Cory Booker, who's an uber progressive Democrat candidate.
That legislation.
It got stopped.
That's my point.
Because we have a Supreme Court, and that we knew
it got stopped because
of legal challenges.
Resentment. White.
By the way, he scoffs right at him.
Farmers felt like resources were being taken away from them and given to people
because some people, Again, when you say white farmers, if I'm a white farmer listening to this in Iowa, I'm thinking to myself, Jon Stewart's calling me, John Lewis is blaming me for stopping Booker's legislation. That's not true. But some people stop that legislation.
Right.
And my job, who wants to help black farmers who've been built off of their land, is to go back to work with the Biden administration, write new legislation that could withstand a legal challenge.
Sounds like Cory Booker actually understands. I mean, this guy's actually in politics. Jon Stewart has been really surrounding himself with a lot of lunatics, race grifters. You see just this other issue. Where's this other one here? I mean, he just responded to. He got mad at the Ingram angle for making fun of him, essentially. Because she called him essentially a race grifter. Here, newly baptized woke activist Jon Stewart gets torched by the Ingram angle.
And you're a white supremacist or a racist if you don't agree with Jon Stewart that immigrants shouldn't be blamed for slavery. This is the ongoing scam of the anti-racism movement. Ibram Kendi, Nicole Hannah-Jones, they get paid handsome sums to tell corporate and academic audiences how awful to the core they all are. And they now have thousands of acolytes across the country who are also eager to cash in as well, or who, like Stewart, just enjoy the moral superiority they feel by calling everyone else a racist. So if you refuse to buy into the allyship, Twitter
and she's 100% right.
The problem with white people is everything. The problem with white people is the inherent defense mechanisms that pop up to protect privilege anytime race, equity, or racist systems come up.
I was not alive for slavery. I have not created a single system in this country, and I'm not in government. On what planet would I ever feel like I have any responsibility for that? This black woman, as far as I can tell, is equally responsible as I am. You see this article, Jon Stewart's incoherence. Jon Stewart's 3-on-3 debate with conservative commentator Andrew Sullivan last week has received a lot of attention, largely because of the followers in the segment, which focused on systemic racism in modern America. Sullivan understandably is upset that the debate's utterly unfair setup penned an ex post facto Substack column excoriating students' arguments. Stewart subsequently responded with a snide Twitter thread, arguing that Sullivan wasn't ambushed and that any damage incurred was self-inflicted. This is the new Jon Stewart. Here's the problem with Jon Stewart from Andrew Sullivan. How painfully, cringely, super woke must a comedian get to stay relevant? I mean, it's insane. Jon Stewart used to be like a reasonable liberal person, but now he's so desperate to get headlines, so desperate for the approval of today's modern media leftists, which are far left. He got simple facts incorrect. Talked about how immigration bills, and this is a great article by Andrew Sullivan on his Substack, talking about how all the points that Stewart made, are not historically backed up. The data doesn't back it up, but Jon Stewart doesn't care about data. He cares about clicks. I hope you enjoyed that video. We'll talk to you again real soon.